Hello everyone, myself is Anjana and I have with me my co-presenter and my senior colleague Dr. Siran Mukherjee, and we both are working at Indira Gandhi National Open University in India. Let me tell you, our university is the world's largest open university and the only national open university in our country. And before we start our presentation, let us thank the organizers of this conference, VR2022, for providing us this opportunity to present our study on virtual labs and distance education. Actually, it is an exploratory study, and the approach of this study is problem-oriented. Problem-oriented in the sense that we are facing difficulty in providing practical education to our students in some of the study centers that are the academic support services center that are located in far-flung areas of the country. So in some of those study centers that are located in remote areas, they don't have state-of-the-art infrastructure. And there we find difficulty in providing practical experiments facility to our students. So we are trying to find out if these virtual labs can be a solution to that problem that we are facing in such areas for conducting the practicals for our students. With this background, let me start with the presentation. And before I move ahead, I will stop my video. Yeah. So we all know that there have been major advancements in information technology in India that has fueled the expansion of web-based digital learning across the majority of subjects, including practical-based disciplines. However, in resource-constrained nations such as in India, that has a large number of potential students, distance education provides an edge because it extends educational opportunities to the students. But here, imparting practical knowledge through distance mode is a challenge, and mitigation of such constraints that can be made possible through the virtual labs. So in this presentation, we intend to provide the holistic view of the virtual labs project that is being implemented in India and its current status in terms of extending practical knowledge to the students and the future prospects of integrating virtual labs for practical training with the mainstream methods for our distance learners. So about this virtual labs project in India, it's an initiative of Ministry of Education, Government of India, under the aegis of National Mission of Education through Information and Communication Technology, that is NMEI-CT. It's a consortium of 12 participating institutes, and the lab experiments that are conducted through this virtual lab, they are accessible through the portal, which I'll be providing the link later in this presentation. These are the labs that do not require any additional infrastructure configuration for conducting the experiments at user premises. And these simulation-based investigations, they're accessible online from a distance. The remote users that are located at different locations, they can access the virtual labs and conduct the experiments. Just the requirement which is there is internet. And as I already said, that there is no additional infrastructure setup which is required. And there are more than 1,200 web-enabled experiments that are available on this portal. So we can say that these virtual labs are any place, any pace, any time, and any type labs. And it is expected that these to be a milestone by creating a paradigm shift in ICT-based student-centric education, especially for practical-based courses. So who can be the intended beneficiaries of this particular project? See, there are so many experiments that can be accessed by anyone from anywhere. But particularly, we can say that all the science and engineering colleges students, as well as the distance learners who are pursuing some programs that have some practical component, also the faculty who lack access to quality lab facilities or the equipments, they can be the intended beneficiaries or our target audience. And then high school students whose curiosity may be aroused, and perhaps they will be inspired to pursue higher education if they are able to conduct experiments through this particular portal. Then diverse engineering colleges, they can also use the information and associated teaching resources that are available on this portal. Then also the researchers from different institutions, they can also collaborate and exchange the resources. So this virtual labs project, it particularly addresses the issue of providing access to online labs to those colleges that lack these facilities, and other colleges or the institutions that have that facility, that are already having the labs. These virtual labs, they can be acting as a complementary for them, as a complementary facility for providing the access to online labs. Then it can also upgrade the training and also bring about skill set augmentation through workshops and on-site and online training. Here if we see the difference between or make a comparison between physical and virtual labs, we will find that for establishment of physical labs, a lot of expenditure is required. Millions of rupees are required for establishment of physical labs, for purchase of equipments. But here for virtual labs that are already there in this portal through the simulation, there is no expenditure that is required from the users end or for its establishment, because only the existing computer with the internet connection is required for accessing this particular portal, these virtual labs. If we talk about the availability, these physical labs that are there in the institutions, they are limited in time and space, and they cannot be accessed 24/7. However, these virtual labs, they are available throughout for everyone. So their usage, these virtual labs usage, that is 24/7. If we talk about the experimentations, then in the physical labs, there is a limited option for innovation. But if we talk about the virtual labs, because there are a wide number of experiments that are available there, so it provides a wider and safer option for innovative experimentation. But if we talk about the user experience, here we can say that the user experience in case of virtual labs, it's placed at the second best position, because virtual and open learning initiatives have the potential to significantly alter education in practical based programs, but they cannot be a substitute for practical laboratories in face-to-face mode. So these are placed at the second best position. If we talk about the areas in which experiments are being offered through this portal, through this virtual lab project, then we can say that all the major areas of engineering and science are covered in this project. For example, electronics and communication engineering, computer science, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, biomedical and biotechnological engineering, and likewise. So these are the broad areas that are there on this portal. These are the areas in which experiments are there in the virtual labs portal, and the experiments may be conducted in these areas. If we look at the impact of virtual labs, this data is very important, and from this data we can clearly see that this project has been very successful, because here you can see that at present there are more than 120 virtual labs that have been established, and there are more than 1,200 experiments that are available in this portal. Also, a number of workshops, in thousands of workshops, have been conducted by 1,200, more than 1,200 nodal centers. If we particularly talk about the usage, during the COVID pandemic, there were more than 1.5 million users, than those who have accessed this particular portal for conducting the experiments. And if we just talk about the page views, there have been 51 million page views during the COVID pandemic. So when the entire world had come to a halt during COVID, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, still there were people, there were students who were accessing these virtual labs, and they might be conducting the experiments or might be exploring how the experiments may be conducting through this particular portal. Also, these virtual labs, they are not just performing the experiments, but through this simulation-based experimentation and the student-centered method, it supports the assimilation of both fundamental and sophisticated concepts, and the utilization of extra web resources, video lectures, animated demonstrations, and self-evaluation. That is also made possible via internet-based experimentation. Like I have taken a screenshot over here that is there on the screen, where we find that it is not just the experiment, but before conducting the experiments, within the experimentation part, this is just for an example, that the detection of adulteration in milk, some experiment is to be conducted, and this is the screen how it looks like. And once we go to the simulation, it will play the video, it will show the exact process, how the process is to be conducted. But before that, it has a I mean, what actually is to be done in this experiment? What is the theory behind this particular experiment? Then some information which should be there with the student before, I mean, he should have some knowledge. Test is conducted so that their knowledge can be assessed through the pre-test. Then procedure is explained. Then through the simulation, this experiment is conducted. Then post-test is there so that it can be assessed that after performing this experiment in simulation mode, what all the student has learned from this experiment. So for that purpose, post-test is there. And then references are there. Also, there's an option for providing the feedback. So we may conclude that utilizing the virtues of virtual labs, the scientific education that can be effectively expanded, and the global community of students, scientists, citizens, and particularly the distance learners that can undoubtedly benefit from this creative and forward-thinking initiatives to e-learning and virtual labs. So if we conclude that that will not be wrong if we conclude that if the virtual labs are integrated into distance education system for practical courses, then the constraints that are being faced in terms of lack of state-of-the-art infrastructure at few places, at some of our study centers located in remote areas, that may be overcome with the help of these virtual labs. So with this, we come to the end of our presentation. And for more information, because we have accessed all the information from this particular portal, www.vlab.co.in. This is the portal where complete information regarding virtual labs is available. So for further readings and further exploring, this particular link may be accessed. Else, we are open to discussion here also, and we may also be reached through our email IDs that are given on the left side of the screen, as well as through the LinkedIn. So thank you all. Thank you very much.